Welcome back to another episode of We Are the Ones podcast. This is the podcast where we have extraordinary conversations with extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. Avi, what's up with you? How you doing?
What's up, Jamil? Spring is upon us.
It don't feel like it.
We're going to speak it into existence.
You can speak it all you want. It still don't feel like it. I definitely look a little springish today.
You know,
it's too cold.
I'm
just over it. I'm so over this. Oh my God.
I know. It's
just
coming.
always so cold. I mean, and like this past weekend, it felt like it was just nonstop
Yeah,
snow.
this weekend was crazy.
Yeah, I had a photo shoot Saturday morning at 7 a.m. and it was an outdoor shoot
That's
too.
your heart.
Yeah, it was an outdoor shoot that I had to do for someone. And I got down there, I was waiting. Folks were a little late, you know. But so I got down there, and while I was sitting there waiting, it was like sunny when I got down there. I saw like one little snowflake, and then I saw it got really dark. And then it was like a whiteout. It was like a whiteout. And I'm just like, I said all types of F-bombs in my car. Like, where these motherfuckers?
Buffalo, you know, it's the place where we can have 4 seasons in one day. You know that.
It is. It's insane. But listen, even though it's a lot of cold here still, I think today we want to bring some heat.
Okay.
I think we're going to bring some heat today.
Okay.
Like literally and figuratively, because like she's bringing some of that island heat too. Bringing some of that island heat.
I love it. I've never been to Bermuda.
You have to come
Oh
visit.
my gosh, seriously.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to have our guest on the show today. Kind of give a little backstory on her and how I met her. We actually met in college. We were going to college. Shout out to the University of Buffalo. CC, Canisius, all that other nonsense. You know, get out of here.
Excuse me, I pay good money for my CC, okay?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
I'm an international student. I paid more, I promise.
So, but I met her during the time while we were at UB. She was just, like I said, this international student, but she was always like this real quiet girl, you know. So I don't know. It was, my encounters with her, she was always real quiet, right? So I don't know if she was just shy. I don't know what it was, but either which way, she just always had a really bright personality, right? And you know, fast forward to us graduating from college, she was one of those people that you think that, and nothing against Buffalo, I love my city, but I'm just like, I didn't see her being, because she's an island girl, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't see her staying in Buffalo, and every time I used to see her, I'm just like, you still in Buffalo? You know, but she was doing some amazing things, from being a stylist to her journey in entrepreneurship. I mean, we're going to talk about it all, but I'm just super excited because she also had the opportunity to style me a few times. I used to go to her for advice a lot.
Okay.
A lot. I used to go to her. I think, as a matter of fact, she probably told me to. Yeah, I think she told me to get this jacket that I have on right now.
I knew it looked familiar.
No, but I'm super excited to have my friend, our guest on the show, Miss Chellsy Mapp. How you doing, Chellsy?
Thanks,
I am
Chelsea.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Absolutely. You said this is your first podcast, right?
It is my first podcast.
Come on.
Yes, first of many, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be the first of many.
I just love that shirt.
Thank
love
you.
that.
This is from my business, from my brand, Chellsy Hair.
Yes.
I have to represent. So.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I was on your website and I said, this looks familiar.
Yep.
That looks so good on you.
Oh, I had to come in my ear.
Of course. Listen, you got to represent the brand.
Absolutely.
And we want to talk about all of that. So, but again, Chellsy, first of all, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let's kind of dig into a little bit about your backstory, because you said you came over here as an international student.
Yes, I did.
And you going to the University of Buffalo. So talk about that, like just like that transition coming from like this beautiful island of Bermuda to like snowy, frozen tundra of Buffalo. Like,
it was definitely an experience. I think people probably think it was harder for me than it really was, though. I think I was excited to come to a different city. Sorry.
Nope.
I was excited to come to just somewhere that was really different from what I was used to. The cool thing, the good thing and the bad thing about Bermuda is that it's very small.
Okay.
So, it's great because in some ways, it's very safe. Everybody's like family. People are always looking out for you. People will always shout you out when it comes to business opportunities and things like that. So Bermuda is great where it has that family vibe, but at the same time, because it's so small, it can get kind of claustrophobic. And I was blessed enough to be somewhat well traveled, like from childhood. My parents kind of took us all over the place. So seeing the world and going to, just seeing that it was so much more than this little island, just made it feel even smaller. So I was excited to just come to the U.S. in general, and to just see where life took me. So
was that your first time coming to the U.S.? Is when you came to school here?
I have been out here a couple of times to a couple different places. My first time coming to Buffalo was only a few months before though. Like I came to see the school.
Okay.
So that was my first time in Buffalo, but. Yeah, I have been to the U.S. a couple times, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. So I was excited to come out here.
So what was it about Buffalo that like kind of captures your heart?
You know what? It's crazy. I had visited quite a few other schools, but what I liked was I was just kind of looking at like what was my experience going to be at this school, and what were the things that were important to me. So, I'm a stylish girl. I needed the mall to be close by. Okay, that was important. I remember I went to another school to visit. The school was great, but when they said the mall was like 2 hours away, I was like, I'm not going here.
What school was this?
It was UConn, actually.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
What, 2 hours away?
Yeah. They're like, it's in the boonies. So the school was cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the school was cool, but the mall was like a 2-hour bus. So I was like, I'm so sorry, I can't do that.
Wow.
So that sounds crazy, but that's how I paid attention to what was going on. I had to, what was the quality of life going to be like for me? So yes, I was excited that, we had a couple malls, they weren't too far away. What I really liked was kind of the layout of UB, to be honest. I liked that like all the buildings were connected.
Yeah, everything's connected.
I didn't come, yeah, exactly, and it's cool. And I didn't come in the winter, so I didn't know how crazy. But mind you, I had been on ski trips. I went on a couple ski trips, so I had experienced snow, right?
Like Buffalo.
I know. But I came in like the springtime.
Okay. Which is still winter-ish, but
yeah, but it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Like the weather wasn't too bad. I love that everything was connected. I went on a whole school tour and everything, and I just liked the vibe. I just liked the vibe of the school, and compared to everywhere else I went, it just felt like this was the place that was meant for me. So
UB is definitely a vibe because my intent when I first started college, I didn't want to stay here in Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you stayed in Buffalo.
Yeah, too. I certainly didn't want to stay in Buffalo even during college or even after college. But during that time while I was in college, I just fell in love with the school.
Yeah,
I mean, UB is it's really, really a dope atmosphere. I mean, it's super diverse. It is a PWI. But it is super diverse. It's different. It's something for everyone there. So if you're from the islands, they have like the Caribbean Student Association, or for us, we had like the Black Student Union. I was part of the UB Step Team and Hip Hop Student Association.
Everything.
I was. Yeah, I was.
Like before I knew him, I was like, that dude is just everywhere. Like you just can't go to any event and not see him there. Yeah.
It hasn't stopped. 20 years later, and it still hasn't stopped, But no, it was just something about UB. But then one of the great things that I love about UB is that you meet like these lifelong friends, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have people that come into your life, and I'm sure this is with any college but specifically at UB. Like most of the people that I went to school with, they were all from New York City, so that's how I kind of got like inundated in the New York City culture and such. But no, I met some lifelong friends, and like I would consider you one of those people, Chellsy.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like we didn't talk much we were cool while we were in school. I definitely had a little crush on one of your friends.
Yes, I already know.
Yeah. She was my fake girlfriend.
Oh,
you know
my
what I'm saying? Like
goodness,
we used to say no. We used to like just play around with people. Like
they would post it on Facebook.
We would post it on Facebook and everything.
A whole bunch of drama. Okay.
A whole bunch of drama.
For no
you know what I'm saying?
reason. Yeah.
But yeah, that's shout out to her. She's amazing. But then like even after you graduating from college and everything, you decided to stay here. I know when I had my Changemakers event back in, I think it was 2012.
Yes,
I
was there.
Yeah, she was there. She was helping out with the event part of it.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, it was definitely a good time. So you were here, school. Again, what made you stay here in Buffalo?
Well, I met my husband in college.
There
Okay.
He's a
go.
Buffalonian.
That love bug.
I know.
That's why I stay here.
Some crazy
That's why I stay too. I go,
Yep, love making
why I
you some
stayed.
crazy things. So yeah, that's why I stayed. But honestly, like I was saying before, the difference in atmosphere from what I was used to growing up to here, I guess made it a lot more appealing for me than for most people. I really liked the balance that I felt between coming from Bermuda and living in Buffalo. It wasn't as extreme and as wild as New York City.
Right.
Like I still to this day can't take too much in New York City.
Really?
New York City, you got 2 or 3 days.
And
a
I
week.
always thought you were from New York. Before I found out you were international,
Everybody thinks
I'm
I'm such a New Yorker, but
It's the style and the accent.
Yeah, it's both.
But New York City gets 3 days max with me at a time. That's all I have to offer, New York City. So yeah, I think I like the balance that I find in Buffalo. Yeah.
That's super dope.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So you met your husband, you got your family and everything. So now let's go into your fashion.
Yes.
So have you always been a lover of fashion? Because in Bermuda, before we started this, you talking about going into pharmacy and you said, nope, science not for me. So what got you into fashion?
So you know what? I know we keep talking about Bermuda, but it's where I was born and raised, so I have to take it back there. Crazy thing is, growing up there, everyone has to wear uniforms. It's not about private school like out here. I know private schools have uniforms, but growing up in Bermuda, all the schools were uniforms. So I grew up my entire life wearing a school uniform. And so one of the things, well, probably once I was like 16, 17, I started to get really excited about just like, how am I going to express myself when I have the opportunity to do so? Like, and I don't know, I was super excited about college. Like I knew I was going to be going off the island for school. And I don't know, I got really excited about it. Like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna wear this and I'm gonna wear that and also being from such a small island, we don't have as much access to a lot of different like stores even. Everything's imported. You got a couple little boutiques, but most times when you go shopping, you go on a trip. Like a lot of us will like fly out and it's a thing, okay? So like just go somewhere and to just shop, right? So I was excited that I was gonna be in an atmosphere where the mall, like I said, had to be 5 minutes away. The mall was close by and I could just really be a lot freer to express myself. And I think that's where my love for style started. And then once I was out here, it just
blossomed.
It just blossomed. Yeah, it just became something that I was like really, really into. And just my own personal self-image, how I represent myself, how I present myself to the world, that was ingrained in me from childhood. Even though we wore uniforms all the time. My mother was actually a judge, and so she was So she was really. My family is really well known in Bermuda, and so from childhood, it's like when you leave this house, you represent me. Do not leave this house looking crazy.
I get that.
And so that was really ingrained in me since I was young. So I just always took a lot of pride in my appearance. I feel like it says a lot about you. And I don't think, some people think it's shallow and they don't take it seriously. But for me personally and in my life experiences, I think the way you present yourself to the world is just really important. You don't have to be over the top. I'm a little extra. You don't have to be over the top like me, but I think still to take pride and just to feel good. You can tell when someone doesn't feel, good in their skin, or doesn't feel good, and just like how they're presenting themselves. And you can tell when someone feels confident. Like sometimes you see some people and they look crazy, but you know what? Like I can see the confidence, I feel it, and I'm like, girl, do your thing. Right? I ain't got nothing to say. Do your thing, girl. So yeah, that's something that just it was in me. And once I had more freedom, it just things got wild.
So let me ask you real quick, because you said your mom was a judge, your parents are really well known. Usually I find when I meet people outside of the U.S., particularly people of color, whether they're from Africa or Caribbean islands or anything like that, if they have parents who have like these high expectations of them, like your mom is a judge, right? So they have like certain fields that they want you to go into.
Yeah.
Did you kind of come up against at any point, like some pushback from your parents or your mom because you decided to go into this space?
Oh yes, absolutely. So I mean, we were talking about it early, but I came to UB initially because I thought I wanted to be a pharmacist.
Yeah. Was that something did you want to do, or did they
you know what? I
that
definitely think that I had to, when I was younger and I was trying to decide what I wanted to do for school, there was definitely a pressure to choose something that was just going to look good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There was definitely, you never could have told me that this is where my life was going to go. There was definitely pressure to choose something that made sense, whatever that means.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing. I was not like, oh, I'm gonna go. No, I knew I wanted to be like a pilot. One thing, I'm creative, okay? That's always been the ideas I had. Like, I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be an astronaut. That's when I was younger, but I wanted to be an actuary. Like, I always wanted to be something that was, was like, wow, you know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely had the pressure to choose like that. And so when I started doing like this little program before I came to college, and I actually was able to get a scholarship. So when I came out here, I had a scholarship for a pharmacy school.
Okay.
And so that was another thing that, like, once I got out here and I realized, like, this was very early. I was like, I do not want to do this. And so that was definitely difficult because I had this scholarship, you know what I mean? And international students, we have to pay like more than double, honestly, than in-state. Yeah, it's wild. So that was definitely a tricky time. I was honest with my parents early. Like, I was like, this is not for me. But because of the scholarship, what we decided to do was kind of just focus on, because college, your first 2 years, it's not even about what you're doing. So I kind of just focused on getting those prerequisites out of the way, and then I had to have that conversation where I was just like, I can't do this. So I decided to pursue business. So that's what I ended up graduating with, a business degree. And I was like, you know what, my parents, what I knew I wanted, I didn't think that they were going to be on board initially, but I was like, okay, if I got a business degree, then I know I was going to run a business. So I'm like, I can talk them into that once I graduate.
So is that something that you actually recommend? Because there's people who goes to college because either their parents want them to, or it's just the next step of life, but they don't really know what to do. So would you suggest like, hey, your freshman, sophomore year, just get those, those little electives out the way first and see what you want to do? Or
you know what? I'm glad you asked me this. I'm going to be completely honest about how I feel about college.
Yes, let's have that conversation.
Let's be transparent.
Let's talk about it. Was it something that I am so happy that I experienced? Absolutely. I had a blast in school, in college. Like Jamil said, I met amazing people. My roommate from my first year is like my best friend, Joy. She's my best friend still to this day. So amazing people. I do not regret my, that part of my life. However, once I got to college and I was like, I didn't know what I was getting into, Once I got here and I realized what it was, I was like, this is kind of a scam if I don't want to be like a doctor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, like meeting other kids and they were like, yeah, I'm just doing sociology, but I really want to be an NFL player. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, hold on a minute. Like, what? So once I really got here and I figured out what college was and how we were really just all taking these same classes for 2 years, and people were just like going to school for whatever. You also realize that once you graduate, and then you're like, no, like I got this degree. Who wants to pay me? And nobody really wants to pay you.
Nobody wants
talk
to hire
about
you.
it.
Nobody wants to
talk
pay
about
you.
it.
So yeah, once I experienced that side of it, I mean, I'll tell you, for me and my children, my plan for my kids is, they have savings accounts, and I'm putting money in there for college and everything like that. But when the time comes and they tell me what they want to do, then I'm gonna support whatever it is that they want to do. I think college is cool for doctors, lawyers, like those people that really need these degrees to, perform heart surgery and things like that, right? But I think we should also be very open to like what our children really want to do.
Yes.
And I think that same money that you put towards these institutions, like if my parents had given me $100K, You get what I'm saying? Now, mind you can't just give them $100K, right? Because things would have got wild. But just to have
Chelsy gone wild.
You know, exactly. Things would have got real crazy. Mind you, I would have been living high. But you know, with the right tools, if you have $100K to invest in your children by the time they graduate high school, I mean, and what they really want to do, I think that's honestly a way better investment.
Yeah.
Colleges could just be such a wild card. You don't know if they're going to change their mind like I did. So I think it's really important to save that money and have that money for your kids. I think, especially in the Black community, that's not something that is normal, you know, for us. We think, and I mean, it's, you know how it is. So it's not something that's normal for us where we get to graduate from high school and have all this money to decide what we want to do. So I think that's something that I'm definitely changing for my kids. Like, whatever it is that they want to do, as long as we can work out like a decent plan, and it makes sense, I'm happy to, you know, have that money for them to use to get to what they want.
Is that decision solely on your experience, or because you kind of see where the world is going a little bit? It's
a little bit half and half. Like, I would say, I mean, even in my career, I started out, once I graduated college, and I knew I wanted to have my own store, my own online store, or not even online store at the time. I wanted brick and mortar back in the day. I wanted my own store with like fabulous clothes and everything like that. I wanted my own store. So I started working in retail. And once I started working in retail, I will say I was hired for a management position pretty fast because I had a business degree. Okay. So they were like, you know what? Like, I got hired as a manager in retail with like 3 months retail experience.
Wow. Just because of your degree.
Because I had a management degree.
Everyone.
So,
oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And everybody is different, right? Do I think that'll still happen? I don't know. But I think, I mean, she literally said it to me. She was like, yeah, you don't have any experience, but I like the way you present yourself. You definitely have a good eye for style. And you have a degree in business, so you have an idea. So she took a chance on me. And I grew that way. So I would say it did give me an opportunity to get my foot in the door with in retail management sooner. Nowadays, though, I don't think that's the same, and I also think you can do it without. Yeah, it really just depends on what you want to do. I had a girl who didn't have any kind of college education that was above me. She had more experience in retail. She worked in retail longer than me, but I don't know. I just think if you're not really sure what you want to do, I do not recommend going to college. I think it's a waste of money.
Very good.
I wish I had the little No, seriously, because I love the fact that you said this, because this is a conversation that more people need to be having more often, because as we see that the entire shift in just culture and business and everything is changing. No longer do we need degrees. I have a degree. I'm, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in debt with a degree that I'm not using right now.
That's so many people's reality. It's so many people's reality. I mean, I'm so grateful that my parents did so much for my education, and so I didn't really have a crazy amount to pay off. The things that I hear that most people have to deal with, I'm so blessed and so grateful to my parents. But that's a blessing, and that's not the norm. You know what I mean? Right. My parents, they worked really hard. They didn't really come from much. They worked really, really hard to educate their children, and I really appreciate it. And that's why I will say, I can't say I don't appreciate my time, and I appreciate, everything that they invested in me. But I think with the way that the world is going now, it's just, I think we need to be smarter about what we're investing in, for sure. Really, if your child, for example, my son has crazy energy, and so everybody's labeled him as an athlete already. We don't know, but it's something like that. That's where, if you want to go on to be a professional athlete, a lot of it is through universities, through these institutions. So you have to just see what it is, really. Yeah. But I feel you.
So let's fast forward a little bit. Let's transition. You talked about, 3 months in, you got hired as a store manager. So how did that experience, you working as a store manager for all of the years that you were working, kind of prepare you for, you being in business and entrepreneurship with the brand that you have right now?
Okay, so I got to correct you. I wasn't a store head manager yet.
Okay.
It was like a store, like a supervisor position. But you know, I was still alone in the store managing it still at some point. So
to me, but you were still managing.
But I mean, I got there. I worked my way up. I definitely worked my way up. I definitely got there. So that was a blessing. But yeah, I mean, I think it was. I mean, it's so much. I kind of got to gather my thoughts on that. It's so much that I could say I learned from the experience. I think people, understanding people, how to sell to people, is one of the biggest things that you can learn when you're working in retail, for sure. And it's one of the most important things, obviously. Like, you have to find the right group of people that identify with you, your brand, and what you're selling. People are really, I mean, if you think about it, yes, people like design, people like that something looks pretty, but the actual brand, we know how brands are, like the actual brand, the name, the person behind it, the story, that is so much more important, you know? And I mean, I will say the lesson that I learned was, I mean, I would say that, but it's crazy how much of a foundation you really have to have a huge foundation when it comes to growing a brand, because I could have something, and let's just say Zara could have something, and I might have a better quality version. You can clearly see that it's a better quality version, but because I haven't laid the foundation, nobody knows who I am, nobody knows my story, the trust isn't there. You know, they'll run to Zara every time, you know? And so building that rapport with your customers, finding people that align with your brand, and really just growing your relationships, getting more people involved in what you're doing, and just interested in you as a person, you as a brand. It's vital.
Well, let's talk about that, because some people are building brands and they need to understand that trust part. How do you allow people to trust you? Is it just sharing your story? Is it certain content? Like, what is it that you have done successfully to do that?
I think it takes time. I think sometimes people see something, they're like, oh, they see somebody doing something they think they can do, and they just come up with a product, and it takes time. It really takes time. You know, all these big brands that we're so quick to run to and trust have been in business for over 30 years, for our lifetimes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it takes trust. It takes, what's it called? Of course, I can't think of the right. It's such a classic. Let's just say user-generated content is something that a lot of people are using now, because that's huge. Like, you want to know that so-and-so, that person, that girl, and that girl bought it, and they liked it, she liked it, what did she think about it? What, you know what I mean? Like, that's one of the ways that you can build trust is, you know, other people have to speak about what you have going on as well. So building trust is not easy to do when you first start out, because, like, who's buying your stuff? Right. So can you ask me the question one more time? I feel like I kind of got off track.
No, I think you're right on. I was just asking, how do you build trust with your audience?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest things is, like, you have to be open to your audience. You have to be available to your audience. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. That's something I was laughing when Jamil was saying I was quiet, because I am not. But I have to be comfortable with people normally before I can just, like, I'm actually such an open book, as I'm sure you see now. But I have to be comfortable. And so for me, that's always been a challenge, is like putting myself out there. I'm always telling myself, Chelsy, you have to go live more. You have to go live more. Yeah. And when I do, I have a blast with my people, you know? But I get so in my head about it sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I don't look that cute today. Oh, I don't, you know, all types of craziness. But it's important. Like, you have to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to put yourself in rooms that might make you uncomfortable, like this one was making me before I got here. You know, going to events. You have to be willing to really, like, put yourself out there, get in people's faces politely, and just be out there. Yeah.
Okay. Let's say there's someone who doesn't want their brand to be about them, but they still want to build trust. Is that something that may be easier, harder to do, still manageable? How does that work?
It's definitely doable. The challenge with that is you have to invest more in ensuring that other people experience your brand. Because if you're not willing to be the face, which don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people like that, but that means you have to pay more for other people for your brand to get in front of people. A lot of brands use UGC, user-generated content. They use that in a way where they will pay creators to, they'll send free product to creators and pay them to talk about the product, give an honest review, do an unboxing, all that kind of stuff. So the more you want to be behind the scenes, the more you kind of have to be more creative about how you get your product in front of people. Again, that kind of content really builds trust. So, I mean, I can talk about my product all day. People are like, of course you like it. It's right? So, I mean, the same thing for my brand as well. I have to still make sure that I'm circulating what other people are thinking about my brand too. But when it's just, if you want to be really behind the scenes, it takes a lot more of an investment in everybody else and in getting your product out there. Like, I would say one of the blessings for me when it comes to being more of a face of my brand is the fact that I don't have to pay as much for advertising. I don't have to, like, I started doing Facebook ads here and there, but I didn't have to run ads all the time because me and the content I was creating is an ad, you know?
Yeah, right.
So I didn't have to, pay people to use my brand to try out my products and things like that, because I had developed a community to a certain degree where, I mean, the minute I launched my brand, so many people shopped with me like the first day I launched it. And I do want to say, I know I get a little, but
you're fine.
I do want to say that I actually did try to do that before I decided to be the face of this brand. I actually had a business before, and I wanted to be behind the scenes because I was as a stylist, as stylish as we enjoy being, styling is more so about your client. More about the people. It's more behind the scenes, right? So I was so used to being behind the scenes. I like to make other people look cute. As much as I liked how I presented myself, I didn't feel the need to show everyone on like a social, And so initially, I had a brand before this one, and I did all of this stuff for it and put it all out there, and it was so much harder to make sales. And I did not understand at the time how important it was to build trust, how important it was for people to know like the story and who was behind it. And so this second time around, my mentor, she actually reached out to me because I was doing content creation for other brands, and she was like, "It's time for you to start your own." And I was like, really?
That's a mentor.
And she was like, yeah, like you're doing all of this, you're showing all of this stuff off for other people. It's time for you to show off your own stuff. Like you have enough people that see you, that admire you, that, enjoy what you're doing, that trust you now. So it's time for you to put your own stuff out there. And it was like night and day. Launching that first business compared to this one, I remember, I think the first month I launched this business, I probably, if I didn't make the same, I probably made more than I ever made in my entire other business in the first month. Because everybody knew that it was mine. And everyone that, was bought into me, that supported me, they were like ready to oh my goodness, you did something? Yes, we want to support, And so I won't say that I don't recommend it, because I think it's not for everybody. If you don't have the confidence to do it, and if you don't think you can muster it up, you just have to take a different route. There are still crazy successful businesses, and we don't know who's behind them.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So it's not that it's not doable, but it's just a different approach you have to take. You have to really, if you're starting out, you have to be willing to invest in other people, showcasing your product a lot more than you do.
I've been sitting over here the whole time while you've been talking, just taking like these mental notes.
I know,
seriously, because like you're dropping so many gems right now. I don't know if people are really catching all of the gems that you're throwing right now. No, you're not trying. You're doing it. You're doing a damn good job of it. One of the things I wanted to ask you, you had mentioned a little bit earlier about like just partnerships and like, sometimes just getting those different brands to send you stuff, do unboxings and things like that. How can people, you kind of connect with different brands if they wanted like some type of brand partnership or how can they use their platforms? Do they have to have a certain following on social media? Is it just about them just being really visible on social media? How can people establish those type of relationships with brands?
I think honestly it's not even really about your following, not like it used to be.
Okay.
I think there are different ways that you could go about establishing those relationships, and it's different things that you can do for brands that don't even necessarily have to do with your following. You don't even there's like I said, the user generated content. There are people that will pay you to create content that they use solely. So you don't even have to post it on your platform. They're just going to use it on their platforms. So I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen like videos where you might see, everybody uses this now, like TikTok made me buy it and all of that, right? Or I found this on TikTok and everybody's been raving about it, and then it shows multiple people talking about what this product did for them. A lot of times those people didn't even post it on their own social. They created it because they were working with those brands.
Got it.
So there's definitely a lot of opportunity to make money with brands where you don't necessarily need a following. However, you do need to have the skill to create good content. And so I do still recommend making sure that your presence is up to par. You do want to make sure that your when people come to your page, that it looks professional. You want to be easily accessible, not just DM, but make sure you have like a decent email address. Don't let your email address be like cute girl 76
at Gmail,
Don't
at Yahoo.com,
Don't do that. Yeah, like get yourself a nice email address. You can get your own email address. Like you can like mine's is. I'm gonna tell everybody now. Mine's is hello@chelsyglam.com. You can get that for like $6 from Google. Okay, it's not that deep to get, but it looks so much more professional, and people appreciate that you put effort into the way you're presenting yourself.
Sure.
So I would say the most important thing is to make sure that you have content, the way you're presenting yourself, the content that you have posted, that it backs up what you're trying to get paid for.
Yeah.
That's what's really important. And then if you do want to grow, and if you do enjoy building community, that's just a plus. You can get it kind of on both ends. Like you could just create content for people. The plus on that end is if people recognize you from other people's stuff. They're like, oh, I know that girl. Yeah, I'm gonna buy it, you know? And then on the other end, they will pay you because of the fact that they know that you have a community that trusts you.
Right.
So
that's
you can,
engaged
they
too.
will pay you to post and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, real quick. When it comes to, because you talk about content, and you do really well with your content. You do really, really well with your content. What are some of the tools that you use? Like, so if people wanted to be able to, have a better, content out there that they're putting out there, like, what are some tools that they can use that, in order to make their content like really look good? Yeah,
I mean, it honestly doesn't take much. It's really just about having the right tools. So I would say you definitely need like a tripod. You can get a tripod on Amazon for like $20. You want to get one with a ring light. You definitely want to invest in lighting.
Yes.
Definitely want to invest in lighting. A trick that a lot of us need to talk more about is very simple. Everybody can do it. Clean your camera.
He says that all the time.
Listen.
Clean your phone. Clean your camera.
I'm going to look at the camera real quick. This is all you got to do, y'all. That's all you got to do. Just do it. That's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do. Clean your camera.
I hate smudges. Oh, that grinds my gears.
Like, that's it. It's so easy. So, that's one of the things that you already have the answer. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. But yeah, making sure that your camera, if your front lens, your back lens is making sure they're clean. Tripods, lighting. I would say, and then of course, like finding good areas depending on where you're planning to shoot. Yeah. One of my things. Because I do, as much as I'm not quiet, I can be kind of antisocial. I don't like to go out and shoot in the elements. Like, I don't want to be outside shooting with people. It makes me so uncomfortable when people are like staring at you. Yeah. Now, what I will say is we always should challenge ourselves to get out of our comfort zone. So will you
grow
see
inside
me?
Your comfort zones.
Yes, exactly. So you definitely will see me strutting my stuff on the streets more, especially as the weather gets better. But I was lucky enough to kind of find like nice areas within the comfort of my home that are aesthetically pleasing. also you can make those happen too.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can make that happen. Just find an area that has good lighting and then work with what's in the background and adjust it accordingly. So that's a great way to start. There are girls that have crazy followings that stand in front of their closets every day. You know what I mean? And just like, but their closet looks aesthetic. And those IKEA closets are affordable. Right? Those pack system, I have one. They're very affordable. They're very customizable. But yeah, you can, it's not hard to do. It's more so like finding your comfort. And I think one of the most important things to do is to get out of your head and create and create and create. Like, just do it. You don't learn anything from not doing it.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? It becomes so much easier when you do it all the time. I used to take days to create like certain things, like to create, let's just say like a week's worth of content could take me a couple of days. I can create a month's worth of content in like a week now if I wanted to. Am I that good yet? No, let me stop. Like, you know, but can I, yes. Have I would say I probably did like 2 weeks of content once in like 2 days.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's because like I know my angles because I've practiced. You know what I mean? The putting the work in is practice. So the more you do it, the easier everything becomes. So yeah, I used to be so like in my head about it. Now it's like piece of cake. I used to have 20 million takes. Now I could do it in 3. It's all about the practice. Once you know what works. Yeah.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation right now because that is so me. I'm so in my head. People tell me all the time. I talk to like some mentors that I have, other content creators, and they tell like Jamil, like you're already visible. You just need to be a little bit more of like, and tell me, go live, do these things. And I'm just like, I don't know, I don't want to go live.
Yeah.
No.
You know what? Most times, almost every single time when we actually do it, it's never as bad as we think it's going to be. And like I said, practice. Like, I just know that if I went live all the time, I wouldn't be as tripped out about it as I still am, every time I do it, I'm like, this is fun. Like, this is not even that bad. So the more you do anything, that's life, right? The more you do anything, that's how you become an expert at it.
That's
so
true.
I would say easy things, tripods, lighting, finding your vibe, your aesthetic in your house, or even if you find a place that you like to shoot all the time that works with your vibe, then that's great. But you do want to make sure that you're presented, the way you present everything makes sense. So don't, like, your feed is important. People will come to your page and assess whether or not you take your stuff seriously based on your feed. If you're just posting, you might have a great video, but if they come to your page and it's all over the place, like 1 minute you got a turtle playing soccer, but then over here you're a fashionista, but then you're like, is it a cooking show? Is it like, what is it? People are like, okay, I don't know what's going on here, so I don't know what I'm following. So, people need to know what they're coming to your page for. And you can be a lot of things. Like, I have some girls that I love, and I'm like, how does she do all of this stuff? Like, 1 minute she's showing us how she cooks. Next minute she's making her bed. Next minute she's styling. The next minute she's showing us the looks for less. Then she does everything, and it just works for her because she's, I guess, lifestyle, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own thing, but people will tune in when they know what they're getting, I think, is what's important.
So I want to get into your brand right before we wrap up a little bit.
Sure.
So you were a stylist, and then you went into another brand. So talk about the brand that you have now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it that you sell? What is it that you do? Talk about it a little bit.
So my brand is called Chellsy Hair. I'm super proud of it. I launched it. It's been, what has it been? 2.5 years now since I launched it.
I remember when you made the announcement about it.
Yes.
You're transitioning from what you were doing into what you're doing now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I started it. I was still actually working when I first started it because I wanted to make sure that it really got to where it needed to be before I worked on it full time. So I was doing that part time with my job. And I launched it, like I said, because my mentor was like, girl, it's time. Like, the people want something from you. And it's been amazing. Definitely ups and downs. It's not easy. But it's been an amazing journey. I started out with accessories because I just love them. I feel like accessories just always take every look to the next level. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. If you don't have on accessories, something is missing. So I started out with accessories, and then again, my mentor, she's always on me.
Shout out to the mentor.
Shout out to the mentor. Yes, my mentor is Ronnie Brown.
Oh, shout out to
yes, I love her.
Ronnie is amazing.
She's amazing, and honestly, like, amazing thing about her is like I have been following her for years.
I've been following Ronnie for a long time.
Yeah. And you know, just we would interact here and there, and she honestly was just like reached out to me one day, and she was like, "Girl, I love you." Like, we just built a great relationship over the years, and like the more we talked, I created some content for her brand at one point, and that was actually kind of when she like officially became my mentor. Like after I created for her, she called me one day. Like I was literally on my way to work. I don't even know how she got my number. She called me and I was like, "Hello." And she was like, "Don't worry, it's not nobody crazy, it's me." And I was like, "What?" And that's kind of how you really things really took off for us. But she's amazing. So she's always like pushing me. So once I was doing the accessories thing for a while, I kind of really started to focus on the jewelry, which is still a really big focus if you look at the business. So at the page, sorry. So my jewelry, I'm obsessed with. It's all 18 karat gold plated. What I love about it is that it's basically going to wear just like regular gold.
Okay.
But it's a lot more affordable. Mm-hmm. And I'm super duper extra. So like for everybody that I want to be extra with me, I'm not trying to break the bank, right? Mm-hmm. So what I was excited about is just the fact that, you know, it's super affordable, but it's going to wear just like regular gold, water, tarnish resistant, all that good stuff. But you can just really like be fabulous and wake up every day and not have to worry about accessorizing because you don't have to take it off. It's not like the little rinky-dink stuff you get from little stores.
I was about to shout out too. Let me not be shady. Let's not do that.
It's not that like
we know which ones we're talking about. Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, you can wear. Most of this stuff I hardly ever take off. And I love it because you can just wake up and already you're accessorized, right? So it just saves you time. It's for like that girl that wants to be that girl, but she doesn't always have the time. Okay, that's me. Like I look like I try way harder than I actually do. That's why I don't have it here because I don't have the time. But yeah, I wanted to create something for girls that were just like me. Like you want to be fabulous. You want to, you want to be fabulous, but at the same time, like you got life and we don't have time to take 2 hours to get ready. So that's where my kind of jewelry brand came from, just making sure that I could share that with my people. And then it was the apparel because it was like, okay, girl, like you're still a style, like you still style, you still are showing looks all the time. It's time for you to sell the looks that you're, that you're showing off to people. Like you're making all this money for all these other brands, showing off all these outfits, and you could do it for yourself. So that's how I expanded into apparel. So mainly it's apparel and the super affordable yet amazingly livable jewelry.
You need some stuff for men.
Yeah.
What's up with the
you know what? There are some unisex pieces, okay? Like this Milo ring.
I was looking at those rings.
This one is the Milo ring. And this is the Milo that's named after my baby boy, my son. This one is super unisex. This comes in a larger size too. This one is super unisex. And then I do have like some rope chains that are pretty unisex. So there are some men's things.
Yeah, I've been looking at you the whole time. I'm like, I
have had some requests. So don't worry, I'm gonna work on it. I'll work on it. Don't worry.
No, that's super dope. Yeah. I mean, the whole look, everything about you.
I like it, especially her hair.
Yeah. That's been part of her brand. Her
trademark. Yeah.
I've known Chellsy for a long time. I remember when I first met her, she had long hair, right? Okay. But when she went low, right, and then she started doing the different colors in her hair, I'm just like, yo, this works.
It works.
This is so fly. And it's like I can't remember the last time I saw you just like
with hair.
Not just hair, but just like anything other than a color. You know what I mean? But it works for you though. I mean, you have like the perfect facial features for it and everything. You know what I mean?
It really works.
No, that's super dope.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of funny because initially I wanted it to just be platinum. So I had like platinum blonde hair
looking
for a
like
while.
Cisco.
Yep, but cuter. But yeah, I wanted to be like platinum like Cisco, I guess. You can say Eve. You can say Eve. Yeah, right. No home training. But yeah, I wanted it to be like Eve. And then the funny thing is, I was following this page called The Cut Life, and I saw this girl one day, and she had like mint hair. And I thought she was the most beautiful thing on the planet, and I loved it. And I was like, I want to try that.
You had the mint before too, didn't you?
I think eventually I got the mint.
Yeah,
the joke about the mint is that I tried to do it, and my hair turned out turquoise, and I mean bright turquoise, which eventually became like my staple color. Because it happened, and then I was like in the mirror, like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I have turquoise hair, and but then I was like, but it worked. It was working. So I just stepped out with this bright turquoise hair, and I got so many compliments, and I was like, okay, well, I guess this is the thing. Yeah. And then just over time, I played around with different colors and stuff. I like to have fun with the colors. So turquoise will be back for summer, you know. But yeah, the hair.
I like it.
I love it.
Thank you.
Listen, this has been an amazing conversation.
Thank you.
You've dropped so many amazing gems. I don't even think you even realized the gems that you were dropping.
I was hoping that I could.
No, you definitely did, because part of what we do with this podcast is that we want to give people some real value, right? We want to make sure that we are giving people tools and information that they can use to take their brands, their personal brands, professional brands to the next level in different areas, right? So, having you come on talking about e-commerce and, everything that you're doing with in the all of this. I mean, it's just so fabulous, but thank you so much for this conversation, Chellsy. This has been amazing.
For having me.
People wanted to connect with you. People wanted to shop with you.
Yes.
How can people connect with you, Chellsy?
Okay, so definitely on Instagram, feel free. I'm super nice, I promise. Feel free to DM me.
She is mad cool. Listen, probably one of the most down-to-earth people that you probably ever meet.
People always think I'm so not nice at all, but I am, I promise. So feel free to DM me if you guys have any questions. My Instagram is Chellsy Glam. My name is spelled a little funny. Hopefully we can put it on the screen or something.
Yeah,
but it's Chellsy Glam, so it's spelled Chellsy for Chelsea, and Glam is spelled normally GLAM. Okay. So Chellsy Glam. You can find my business page in the link in my bio as well. But my business is called Chellsy Hair. I'll spell that for you too. Should I spell it? So it's my name again, Chellsy, and Valaire is spelled Vilaire.
Almost forgot.
I'm not gonna spell it off my head. So so my business page is Chellsy Valaire. So definitely feel free to reach out.
No, we definitely will make sure we plug all of that. And
yes, please.
Making sure we send people your way, keep them super fly.
Yes, shop with your girl. You can trust me, I promise.
Trust me. Listen, I promise y'all, she just got me fly so many times. I've had different events, whether it's a wedding I needed to go to or some type of event that I was going to out, and I was just like, yo, Chellsy, I need your help.
And that's who was in your back pocket the whole time.
Yeah, she was.
He does
a really good job on his own too. Sometimes I'm like, Jamil, you do not need me. You know what to do.
I was just like, I'm being my own head sometimes. You know what I mean? Sure. So I get to the store and I'm just like, and I'm looking, it's so many different options, and I'm just like, I just don't, So this is what you do. Tell me what I need to wear right now, so.
It's the fact that he had this in his back pocket and then put his card on the table. I never knew you were in
nobody. Wow, that's wild. This has to be, this has to put me on.
Right.
What I tell you about social capital, sometimes you got to keep it close to you. Right? But no, this has been great, Chellsy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're always welcome back on the podcast whenever you want to come back.
Thank you, of course.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of We Are the Ones podcast. Make sure you follow us on all of the major streaming platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Audible. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us across all of our social media channels at We Are the Ones podcast.
And remember, keep winning on purpose, because you are the one we have been waiting for.